first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
Hi guys, this is Martin over at CBR, and be sure to stick around as I venture down into the comic book basement and revisit the film which helped revitalise David Fincher's career in the aftermath of the dumpster fire that was Alien 3. That's right, it's time to take a leaf from the Tyler Durden playbook and talk about Fight Club. Adapted from the best-selling novel by Chuck Palahniuk, Fight Club really is crazier than a bag of frogs. It marks a second collaboration between Brad Pitt and David Fincher, the first being Seven alongside Morgan Freeman and written by Kevin Andrew Walker, the third being The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, where Brad Pitt starred alongside Cate Blanchett, and the screenplay was written by Eric Roth. Fight Club, however, is a completely different animal and addresses some seriously contentious themes and courted controversy during its initial release in 1999, and it still courts controversy today. So I think Fight Club looks at three specific themes here. It looks firstly at gender identity and the idea that masculinity in itself needs to be, is not what it used to be. Back in 1999, 25 years ago, it was about the men trying to get their masculinity back. And today, in today's cultural context, what you're looking at is gender identity as being a considerably more fluid thing. So you can see how it could potentially be quite controversial. Also, you've got the idea of consumerism and the idea that people need to attain things, whether it's a house and look a certain way, dress a certain way, which is why you've got the flip side of the same coin in terms of Brad Pitt sort of toned and tanned and gym fit and looks cool and perfect, and then you've got Ed Norton who's sort of skinny, white and puffy and sort of always trying to chase this perfection which Brad Pitt represents. And then finally underneath all of that you've got the idea of the 1% of society owning 85-90% of the wealth. So there's this economic disparity which is ultimately being addressed also within the context of this film. There is so much going on within this Fincher film, and it is possibly his most divisive thing, and the thing which Brad Pitt thinks and has stated in interviews as being the single most important thing he thinks he will ever do. What else is there about Fight Club though? Let's dig a bit deeper. So the thing to remember about Fight Club is back in 1999 when this hit cinemas, audiences didn't really know what to make of it. It was inventive, it was powerful, it was brave, it was contentious, and for that reason it wasn't marketed very well. Critics loved it, but what happened was it found its life through home entertainment. When it hit DVD, when it hit Blu-ray, suddenly it became an underground cult classic, as it were, and it gained momentum. So 25 years later, looking back in retrospect, this is now considered a masterpiece, but at the time, absolutely not. It is part, very much in cinematic terms, it's part of the counterculture. So there are films like Barfly with Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway, which is about Charles Bukowski, the Beat writer. Also, there's the adaptation of Naked Lunch, written by William Burroughs, again part of the Beat generation, which was considered unfilmable, but it was done by David Cronenberg and starred Peter Weller, as in Peter Weller Robocop, back in 1991. So this really, there is this history which goes back through cinema of touchstone films which shouldn't be made but somehow get made, and they sort of like add to the cultural sort of do we say melting pot. So this is why Fight Club is important. This is why it remains a touchstone, and this is why it should be on your shelf. This is why you should track it down on streaming, and this is why it deserves to be reevaluated and continually assessed. My name's Martin, this has been CBR. We'll talk soon.